You are standing at a crossroads right now, whether you know it or not. Your life is being shaped by forces far greater than you can see with your physical eyes, and there are signs all around you that something magnificent is trying to get your attention. Most people walk through life asleep, never recognizing that they are being guided, being led, being called toward their highest purpose. But you are different. The very fact that you are here right now tells me that something within you is awakening to a truth that has always been there, waiting for you to notice it. There is an intelligence in this universe that knows exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly how to bring it to you. Some call it God, some call it the universe, some call it source energy or higher power. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to recognize the signs that this intelligence is actively working in your life right now, at this very moment. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And the sooner you recognize this, the sooner your entire life will transform in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Let me share something with you that changed everything for me. When you begin to pay attention, when you become aware and conscious of what is happening around you and within you, you start to notice patterns. You start to see that what you once called coincidence is actually something far more meaningful. You start to understand that your life is not a series of random events, but rather a beautifully orchestrated symphony where every note, every pause, every crescendo is part of a larger composition that is being played just for you. The first sign that you are being guided is when you start to notice synchronicities in your life. Now, what are synchronicities? They are those moments when things line up in such a perfect way that you cannot help but feel that something bigger is at work. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within hours, they call you. You need an answer to a problem that has been plaguing you, and you randomly open a book to the exact page that contains the wisdom you need. You feel drawn to take a different route to work, and later you find out that your usual route was blocked by an accident. These are not accidents. These are not coincidences. These are the universe speaking to you, showing you that you are connected to something far greater than your individual self. When you start paying attention to these synchronicities, something remarkable happens. They start to occur more frequently. It's as if the universe says, finally you are paying attention, let me show you more. And suddenly your life becomes filled with these magical moments where everything seems to fall into place at exactly the right time. This is not magic in the supernatural sense. This is you aligning with the natural flow of life, with the intelligence that governs all things. But here is what most people do. They notice these synchronicities, they feel that little tingle of excitement, that sense of wonder, and then their rational mind steps in and says, that was just a coincidence, don't be silly, don't get carried away. And in that moment, they shut down the very channel through which guidance is trying to reach them. They close the door that was beginning to open. Don't make that mistake. When you notice these synchronicities, acknowledge them, say thank you, recognize them as the signs they are. The more you acknowledge them, the more they will appear, and the more you will feel connected to the source of all guidance. The second sign that you are being guided is when you experience a sense of inner knowing. This is different from thinking. This is different from analyzing or figuring things out with your mind. This is a feeling that comes from somewhere beyond your rational thinking, a certainty that exists in your gut, in your heart, in your very bones. You just know something, even though you cannot explain how you know it or why you know it. You might call it intuition. You might call it a gut feeling. But whatever you call it, it is real, and it is one of the most powerful forms of guidance you will ever receive. Here is the problem, though. We live in a society that has taught us to trust only what we can see, measure, prove, and rationalize. We have been trained to discount our feelings, to ignore our intuition, to suppress that inner voice that speaks to us in whispers. We have been told that if we cannot explain something logically, then it must not be valid. And so we override our inner knowing with our thinking, and we make decisions based on what makes sense to our mind rather than what feels right in our soul. And then we wonder why we end up in situations that leave us feeling empty, unfulfilled, and lost. When you feel that inner knowing, that pull toward something or away from something, pay attention. Your rational mind might not understand it. Other people might not understand it. You might not even understand it yourself. But that does not make it any less real or any less important. That inner knowing is the voice of the divine, speaking directly to you, guiding you toward what is meant for you and away from what is not. The more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. The more you follow it, the more clearly you will hear it. And as you develop this trust in your inner knowing, you will find that you make better decisions. You attract better opportunities, and your life begins to flow with an ease that once seemed impossible. The third sign that you are being guided is when obstacles that once seemed insurmountable suddenly dissolve or transform. You have been struggling with something for weeks, months, maybe even years. You have been pushing and forcing and trying to make something happen through sheer willpower, and then suddenly, without any logical explanation, the situation shifts. The person who was blocking you suddenly changes their mind. The opportunity you needed suddenly appears. The solution you could not find suddenly becomes obvious. This is guidance in action. But here is what you need to understand. Sometimes the guidance comes in the form of doors opening, and sometimes it comes in the form of doors closing. Both are equally important. When a door closes, when an opportunity falls through, when something you wanted does not work out, your first reaction might be disappointment or frustration. You might feel like you are being punished or that the universe is against you. But what if I told you that every closed door is actually protection? What if every rejection is actually redirection? What if every obstacle is actually the universe saying, not this way, I have something better for you? The universe is always guiding you toward your highest good, but your highest good might not look like what you think it should look like. Your ego might want one thing, but your soul knows what you truly need. And so when doors close, instead of fighting against it, instead of feeling victimized by it, try asking yourself, what is this protecting me from? Where is this redirecting me? Because I promise you, when you look back on your life, you will see that some of the best things that ever happened to you were the things that didn't happen. You will see that you were being guided even when you thought you were being rejected. The fourth sign that you are being guided is when you feel an unexplainable sense of peace in the midst of chaos. Life throws challenges at all of us. There is no escaping that. We all face difficulties, losses, disappointments, and pain, but there are moments, even in the darkest times, when you feel a sense of calm that does not make logical sense given your circumstances. You feel held, you feel supported, you feel like somehow, some way, everything is going to be okay, even though you cannot see how. This is not denial, this is not positive thinking gone wild. This is a spiritual truth that your soul recognizes, even when your mind does not understand it. This peace that passes understanding, as the ancient texts call it, is evidence that you are connected to something greater than your temporary circumstances. It is proof that there is a part of you that knows you are more than your problems, more than your pain, more than your present situation. This peace is the feeling of divine presence, and when you feel it, even for a moment, you are experiencing direct guidance. You are being reminded that you are not alone, that you are being carried, that you are being led through the darkness toward the light. The key is to not dismiss this peace when it comes. So often we feel that moment of calm, and then we immediately start thinking again, worrying again, analyzing again, and we talk ourselves out of the peace we were just given. We think we need to be constantly vigilant, constantly concerned, constantly figuring things out. But what if the peace itself is the guidance? What if the message is simply relax, trust, I've got this? When you feel that peace, sink into it. Let it fill you. Let it remind you that there is a benevolent force at work in your life that is far more powerful than any challenge you face. The fifth sign that you are being guided is when people appear in your life at exactly the right moment with exactly what you need. Have you ever noticed how someone will show up with a word of encouragement just when you are ready to give up? How a stranger will offer help just when you need it most? How a friend will call just when you are feeling most alone? These are not random occurrences. These people are being used as instruments of guidance, as messengers delivering exactly what you need to hear or experience at exactly the right time. But here is what is even more beautiful. Not only are you receiving guidance through other people, but you are also being used to guide others. When you feel prompted to reach out to someone, to offer a kind word, to help in some way, that is not random either. That is the universe working through you to deliver guidance to someone else. We are all connected in this invisible web of energy and consciousness, and we are constantly being used to help each other, to guide each other, to remind each other of who we really are and what we are really capable of. So pay attention to the people who come into your life. Every person is there for a reason. Some are there for a season, some are there for a reason, and some are there for a lifetime. But all of them are there as part of your guidance system. Even the difficult people, even the ones who challenge you or frustrate you, they are there to teach you something, to help you grow, to push you toward becoming more of who you are meant to be. When you start seeing every person as a teacher, every interaction as a lesson, every relationship as an opportunity for growth, you begin to see the divine guidance in absolutely everything. The sixth sign that you are being guided is when you feel called towards something that does not make logical sense but makes perfect sense to your soul. This is one of the most powerful forms of guidance, and it is also one of the most frequently ignored. You feel drawn to make a change in your life. You feel pulled toward a new career, a new location, a new way of being, but when you look at it logically, it seems crazy, it seems impractical, it seems risky, and so you talk yourself out of it. You listen to the voices of others who tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to not rock the boat. And in doing so, you ignore the very guidance that is trying to lead you to your purpose. Here is a truth that might be hard to hear. Your purpose will rarely make sense to anyone else. It might not even make sense to you at first. But that does not make it any less real or any less important. Your purpose is not something you figure out with your mind. It is something you feel with your soul. It is that thing that lights you up, that makes you come alive, that fills you with a sense of meaning and fulfillment, even if it does not come with a big paycheck or impressive title. When you feel that call, that pull, that sense that you are meant to do something or be something or go somewhere, pay attention. That is guidance speaking to you in the clearest way possible. Now, I am not saying you should be reckless. I am not saying you should quit your job tomorrow and jump off a cliff without a parachute. But I am saying that you should take that feeling seriously, explore it, investigate it, take small steps in that direction and see what unfolds. Because when you start moving in the direction of your soul's calling, the universe will meet you halfway. Opportunities will appear. Resources will show up. People will come into your life to help you. Doors will open that you did not even know existed. But none of that can happen if you never take the first step. None of that can happen if you stay stuck in what is safe and comfortable and logical. The seventh sign that you are being guided is when you experience a series of challenges that, looking back, you can see were preparing you for something greater. In the moment, these challenges feel like setbacks. They feel like punishment. They feel like evidence that life is unfair and that nothing ever works out for you. But when you get to the other side, when you look back with the perspective that only time can give, you see that every challenge was actually strengthening you, shaping you, preparing you for what was coming next. Think about the difficult times in your own life. Think about the losses, the failures, the disappointments, the pain. Now look at who you are today. Look at the strength you developed. Look at the wisdom you gained. Look at the compassion you now have for others who are going through similar struggles. Would you have developed those qualities without the challenges? Probably not. The challenges were not there to break you. They were there to break you open, to crack through the shell of who you thought you were so that you could become who you are truly meant to be. This is one of the most profound forms of guidance, but it is also one of the hardest to recognize because it requires us to trust that there is a purpose in our pain. It requires us to believe that we are being guided even when everything feels like it is falling apart. It requires faith. And faith is not about being certain. Faith is about trusting even when you cannot see the whole picture, even when you do not understand why things are happening the way they are happening. Faith is about saying, I don't know why this is happening, but I trust that there is a reason. I trust that I am being guided. I trust that something good will come from this. The eighth and final sign that you are being guided is when you feel a sense of gratitude for no apparent reason. You wake up one morning and you just feel thankful. Not because anything particularly wonderful happened, not because you got what you wanted, but simply because you feel blessed to be alive. This spontaneous gratitude is one of the clearest indicators that you are aligned with divine guidance, because gratitude is the natural state of a soul that recognizes its connection to the source of all good. When you feel grateful, you are in harmony with the flow of life. You are acknowledging that you have been given much, that you are supported, that you are loved. And in that state of gratitude, you become a magnet for more blessings, more guidance, more miracles. Gratitude is not just something you do, it is something you become. It is a way of being that transforms everything. When you are grateful, you see the world differently. You notice the beauty that was always there, but that you were too busy or too stressed to see. You recognize the abundance that surrounds you, even if your bank account does not reflect the number you want it to be. You feel rich in the ways that truly matter. So how do you cultivate this gratitude? You start where you are. You look around at your life right now with all its imperfections and challenges, and you find something to be thankful for. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is a person who loves you. Maybe it is a roof over your head or food on your table. Maybe it is simply the fact that you have another day to try again, to grow, to become more of who you are meant to be. You start there and you build from there. Every day, you look for things to be grateful for. And as you do, you will notice that your list gets longer and longer because gratitude has a way of multiplying. The more you notice what you have, the more you have to notice. Now, let me bring all of this together for you. These 8 signs, these indicators that you are being guided, they are not separate things. They are all connected. They are all part of the same divine intelligence that is working in your life every single day. When you start recognizing these signs, when you start paying attention to the synchronicities, trusting your inner knowing, accepting the opening and closing of doors, feeling the peace and chaos, noticing the people who show up, following your soul's calling, finding the purpose in your challenges, and experiencing spontaneous gratitude, your entire life begins to shift. You move from feeling like a victim of circumstance to recognizing yourself as a co-creator with the universe. You move from anxiety and fear to trust and faith. You move from feeling alone and unsupported to feeling held and guided every step of the way. This is not a small shift. This is a complete transformation in how you experience life. And the most beautiful part is that it does not require you to change your external circumstances. It simply requires you to change your awareness, to open your eyes to what has always been there. But I want to be clear about something. Recognizing these signs does not mean that your life will suddenly become perfect or that you will never face challenges again. That is not what guidance is about. Guidance is not about making your life easy. It is about making your life meaningful. It is about helping you become who you are meant to be. And sometimes, becoming who you are meant to be requires you to go through difficult experiences that stretch you and challenge you and force you to grow in ways you never would have grown if everything had been easy. So when the challenges come, and they will come, do not interpret that as a lack of guidance. Do not think that you have done something wrong or that you are no longer connected to Source. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this helping me grow? Where is this guiding me? Because I promise you, there is always a gift in every challenge, even if you cannot see it in the moment. There is always guidance, even in the darkest valleys. And here is something else I want you to understand. You do not have to wait until you have it all figured out to start living as if you are being guided. You do not have to wait until you see all 8 signs clearly before you start trusting. You can start right now, right where you are, with whatever level of awareness you currently have. You can start by simply being open to the possibility that there is more going on than what meets the eye. You can start by paying a little more attention to the synchronicities in your life. You can start by listening to your inner knowing, even if it is just a whisper right now. You can start by looking for the lessons in your challenges instead of just complaining about them. You can start by expressing gratitude for something, anything, every single day. As you do these things, as you practice recognizing the guidance that is already present in your life, something miraculous will happen. The guidance will become clearer. The signs will become more obvious. Your intuition will become stronger. Your faith will deepen. And little by little, step by step, you will find yourself living a completely different life. Not because your external circumstances have necessarily changed dramatically, though they might, but because your internal experience has transformed. You will go from feeling lost to feeling guided, from feeling alone to feeling connected, from feeling anxious to feeling at peace. This is available to you right now, not someday when you are more spiritual or more enlightened or more deserving, right now, because you are already spiritual. You are already connected to Source. You are already deserving of all the guidance and support the universe has to offer. The only question is whether you will open yourself to receive it. Will you pay attention to the signs? Will you trust what you feel? Will you follow where you are being led, even when the path is not clear? Let me share something with you that I have learned through my own experience and through working with thousands of people over the years. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, always, even when it does not look like it, even when everything seems to be going wrong, even when you feel like you are being tested beyond your limits. There is a benevolent intelligence that knows what you need, and it is working tirelessly to bring you the experiences, the people, the lessons, and the opportunities that will help you evolve into your highest self. But here's the thing. This guidance cannot force itself upon you. It can only work with you, not for you. It needs your participation. It needs your willingness to see, to trust, to act. Think of it like this. The universe is like a loving parent who wants the best for you, but who also respects your free will. This parent will put opportunities in front of you, will send signs and signals, will try to steer you in the right direction. But ultimately, you have to choose to follow the guidance. You have to choose to walk through the doors that open. You have to choose to trust when things are uncertain. You have to choose to keep going when things get hard. And this choosing, this conscious participation in your own guidance, this is where your power lies. You are not a puppet being controlled by some external force. You are a powerful creator working in partnership with the divine intelligence of the universe. And the more consciously you engage with this partnership, the more magical your life becomes. You start to see that you can trust yourself because you are never truly alone in making decisions. You have access to infinite wisdom and guidance if you will only quiet your mind enough to hear it and trust your heart enough to follow it. So what do you do when you feel confused? What do you do when you cannot see the signs clearly? What do you do when your inner knowing seems silent? You get still. You get quiet. You create space for guidance to come through. Because here is what happens. Most of us are so busy, so distracted, so caught up in the noise of life that we cannot hear the guidance even when it is trying to get through to us. We are constantly stimulated, constantly consuming information, constantly doing, and in all that busyness, the still small voice of guidance gets drowned out. This is why practices like meditation, time in nature, journaling, and simply sitting in silence are so valuable. They create space for you to hear what is trying to come through. They allow you to tune into a different frequency, one where the guidance is always broadcasting, but that you cannot pick up when your mind is full of chatter. You do not have to be perfect at these practices. You do not have to meditate for an hour every day or retreat to a mountain cave. Even 5 minutes of quiet time, of asking for guidance and then listening, can make a profound difference. And when you ask for guidance, be specific. Do not just say, "Give me a sign," tell the universe what you need help with. Ask for clarity on a specific decision. Ask for strength to get through a specific challenge. Ask for the right people to come into your life to help you with a specific goal. The more specific you are, the more specific the guidance can be. And then after you ask, pay attention, watch for the signs, notice what shows up, trust what you feel, follow what you are guided to do. One more thing I want to address is this idea that guidance only comes in the form of positive feelings or pleasant experiences. This is a misconception that causes a lot of people to miss the guidance that is right in front of them. Sometimes guidance feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it comes in the form of a push out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it shows up as a person who challenges you or a situation that forces you to face something you have been avoiding. Just because something does not feel good does not mean it is not guidance. In fact, some of the most important guidance you will ever receive will come wrapped in discomfort. It will come as that nagging feeling that you need to have a difficult conversation. It will come as that realization that you need to let go of something or someone who is no longer serving your growth. It will come as that awareness that you have been playing small and it is time to step up. These forms of guidance require courage to follow, but they are just as important, if not more important, than the comfortable forms of guidance. So do not make the mistake of only listening to the guidance that tells you what you want to hear. Be willing to hear the hard truths. Be willing to be stretched. Be willing to grow. Because that is what guidance is ultimately about. It is about helping you become the fullest expression of who you are capable of being. And that process of becoming is not always comfortable, but it is always worth it. As we come toward the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this. You are so much more powerful, so much more loved, so much more supported than you have been led to believe. You have been conditioned by society, by your upbringing, by your past experiences to see yourself as small, limited, and alone. But none of that is true. You are a magnificent being connected to the infinite intelligence of the universe. You have access to guidance, wisdom, and support beyond anything you can imagine with your rational mind. The 8 signs I have shared with you today are just the beginning. They are doorways into a way of living that is aligned with your highest purpose and your deepest truth. When you start recognizing these signs, when you start trusting the guidance that is always available to you, your life will transform, not someday, not when everything is perfect, but right now, one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one act of trust at a time. You do not need to see the entire path. You just need to see the next step. You do not need to know all the answers. You just need to be willing to ask the questions and remain open to receiving the answers in whatever form they come. You do not need to have perfect faith. You just need to have enough faith to try, to move forward, to trust, even when you are scared. And here is what I know with absolute certainty. When you do this, when you start living as if you are being guided because you are being guided, life will surprise you in the most beautiful ways. Opportunities will appear that you could never have planned for or predicted. People will show up who change everything. Solutions will present themselves that you could never have thought of on your own. Doors will open that lead to places you did not even know existed. And through it all, you will feel held, supported, loved, and guided by a force that has been with you all along, just waiting for you to notice. So I invite you, right now in this moment, to make a decision. Decide that you are going to start paying attention to the signs. Decide that you are going to trust your inner knowing. Decide that you are going to follow where you are being led, even when the path is unclear. Decide that you are going to see every person, every challenge, every experience as part of your guidance. Decide that you are going to live with gratitude, with awareness, with trust. Make that decision right now and watch what happens. Watch how your life begins to shift. Watch how you begin to feel different. Watch how the universe begins to respond to your new level of awareness and trust. You are being guided. You have always been guided. You will always be guided. The only question is whether you will recognize it, trust it, and follow it. And I believe you will, because you would not be here reading these words, feeling these feelings, having these realizations if you were not ready. Something in you is waking up. Something in you is remembering the truth of who you are. Something in you is ready to step into a new way of being. Honor that, trust that, follow that, and know that as you do, you are not alone. You are supported every step of the way by a loving universe that knows exactly where you are going and exactly what you need to get there. Your life is not random. Your experiences are not meaningless. Your pain has purpose. Your joy is deserved. Your challenges are preparing you. Your blessings are multiplying. And through it all, in every moment, whether you can see it clearly or not, you are being guided by a divine intelligence that loves you beyond measure and wants nothing more than to see you thrive, to see you grow, to see you become everything you are meant to be. Trust that. Believe that. Live from that truth, and your life will never be the same. This is not just inspiration. This is not just motivation. This is truth. And when you align with this truth, when you live from this truth, everything changes. Everything, starting right now.